Before I dive into the video, I just want to give a brief overview of who I am. I'm an Aphelios main and I'm currently stuck in Emerald, aka Pistol. I also don't know jack about gameplay or character design, so I'm definitely not qualified to talk about this. But I will anyway because I think it will be fun. Anyways, I do have over 1.5 million mastery on Fern, so I do know how he works. And just a quick disclaimer, I will be taking a very deep dive into Aphelios' kit, so if you don't know how he works at all, you probably wouldn't understand much in this video. Now let's redesign this edgy emo boy. Okay, so why do I even want to redesign him in the first place? Well, while I don't think he is atrociously designed or anything, certainly not to the extent of other champions, but I do think there is a big flaw with him in his gameplay, and I think my redesign will fix both this flaw and some other minor flaws with him. I came to this redesign idea when I stumbled across a dev article about the development of Aphelios. I will leave the link to the article in the description. The main part that caught my eyes is the first goal I had in mind when designing him. The goal was to make him difficult not in terms of mechanics, but with big brain plays. Then I thought to myself, did they succeed with this goal? And in my opinion, kinda. While I'd argue he is definitely not a hard champion in terms of mechanics, in fact I think he is on the easier side compared to other marksmen, I don't think they succeeded with the big brain plays part. Aphelios is for sure difficult to understand, where with most champions you can grasp what they can do in just a couple of minutes of reading. Aphelios requires hours, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he offers many big brain play opportunities. The approach that I took to achieve this goal was with him having a buttload of ability combinations, with each combo excelling in a different scenario, so it is up to the player to choose the right weapon combo for the right scenario, and make the big brain play. And I do think that I succeeded for the most part in that each weapon combo is good for a different scenario part, like having Severum and Chrysanthemum is good for dueling, Gravitum and Carabram will be good for poking, and Infernum with basically any other weapon will be good for teamfights, etc. But I don't think they succeeded with the choosing the right weapon for the right scenario part. This is my main issue with Aphelios' gameplay design. Now what do I mean exactly by this? With Aphelios' current design, the way you're supposed to choose your weapons is by rearranging their normal rotation, by exhausting the armor of your weapons in different orders. So for example, Aphelios' normal rotation is Carabram, Severum, Gravitum, Infernum, then Chrysanthemum. If you use up the weapons in this order, they will continue to be in this order. So you would have Carabram Severum, Severum Gravitum, Gravitum Infernum, Infernum Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum Carabram, and then rotate back to Carabram Severum. But if let's say you use up Severum first instead of Carabram, now your next combo will be Carabram Gravitum instead of Severum Gravitum. And your final combo then rotation will be Severum Chrysanthemum instead of Carabram Chrysanthemum. So basically you have the freedom to adjust your weapon rotation however you like. Or you can even use them up randomly to not even have a coherent rotation. I have three big issues with this system. The first one is that this system will result in having an optimal rotation. Currently, the optimal rotation is either Severum, Chrysanthemum, Carabram, Infernum, Gravitum, or Carabram, Chrysanthemum, Severum, Infernum, Gravitum. Now why do I think this is an issue? Because this removes a lot of creative big brain plays, since good Aphelios players will stick with the same optimal weapon rotation and combos in most if not all their games. Now you might think, why is there even an optimal weapon rotation? Shouldn't the optimum way to play him is to just have the right weapons in the right situation? This is where my second issue comes with this system. The fact that you can get screwed if you mess up your order. Having a weapon rotation is better than using up your weapons randomly in order to get a good weapon for a current situation, since doing the latter will end up giving you really situational weapons more often than you want. For example, let's say I want purple and white, which is a really situational weapon combo to put tiles that can load people in brushes and make a cheese pick on someone. Which would definitely be considered a big brain play if it works. But I'm discouraged from doing this since it will mess up my weapon rotation, resulting in me getting this weapon combo again when I most likely don't want to have it if I want to continue the rotation. Or if I'm using my weapons completely randomly, then I might later get a bad weapon combo like green-red in a crucial moment like a Baron teamfight. Sticking with the optimal weapon rotation is, well, optimal, since most if not all the weapon combos you get from this rotation are generally good for most scenarios. And if you want to mess up this rotation, it will probably come and bite you later in the game. In addition, if you want to fix your rotation after you messed it up, it can get really convoluted, especially if you messed up more than once. My third and final issue with this system is that choosing your weapons is simply very inelegant. Let's say a Baron fight is coming, so I want to have red and blue, one of Aphelios' best teamfight weapons. But I currently have purple and green. So to choose red and blue, I'd have to rapidly use my current weapon's abilities off cooldown until they run out of armor. This is definitely not a smooth and elegant way to choose your weapons, especially with Gravitum, which requires you to have a target that can be routed to use its ability. Also, a minor issue I have with Aphelios is that he doesn't have an active on his E. I have this issue with any champion that doesn't have an active on one of their abilities, like Twisted Fate or Vayne, not just Fur. I dislike this because your fingers are normally positioned on Q, W and E, so having one of your fingers not doing anything the entire game on its normal position is really wasteful in my opinion. I have some other issues with Aphelios, but I'll talk about them later. Okay, now that I discussed my three main problems with Aphelios' design, I can finally show my redesign idea. Instead of an armor system, this design will have a timer system, meaning that weapons will be exhausted after a certain time automatically instead of after a certain amount of weapon usage. Now I did put specific numbers, but they definitely require playtesting, so take them with a grain of salt. Aphelios' E ability displays a wheel showing all of his weapons, Camera being at the top, Severum at the top right side, Gravitum at the bottom right side, Infernum at the bottom left side, Crescentum at the top left side, and a middle icon that just cancels the E press if you release E while the cursor is on that icon. Pressing or holding E at the corresponding weapon direction, then releasing the button will choose that weapon as your main hand weapon. Unless your main hand weapon is already equipped, then the chosen weapon will be equipped on your offhand. This E design was inspired by Shulk Smash Ultimate, by the way. Aphelios can't declare basic attacks or abilities other than E unless he has a weapon in both his main and offhand. After choosing a weapon, Aphelios can only withdraw that weapon after 20 seconds. And after 2 minutes, the weapon is automatically withdrawn and is then put on a 2-minute cooldown where it can't be chosen again during this time. Upon choosing a weapon, Aphelios will begin the new weapon assembly animation, where his W will be on a 1-second cooldown and his Q on a 1.5-second cooldown, similar to the armor system when he runs out of armor. And for his UI, the weapon armor bar below his mana bar should be a 2-minute timer bar, with a vertical line at the 20-second time frame indicating when he is first able to swap his weapon. His E, when held, should also show whether the weapon is selectable or not, and if the weapon is not selectable, it should show the remaining cooldown for when it can then be chosen. Aphelios' HUD could also potentially be remade to look like a normal champion's HUD, but his special HUD is still probably better. Okay, so how does this timer system fix all these issues that I mentioned? Well, firstly, Aphelios has an E active now, so I can finally use all my fingers while playing, but the main benefit here is that there is no weapon rotation anymore. This then removes both the optimal weapon rotation issue and the fact that you can get screwed up if you messed up the rotation. In addition, choosing your weapons is now much simpler and more elegant. You are now actually choosing them at a given moment instead of doing real ability spam until you get your right weapons. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, the optimal weapon rotation is gone, but people are still going to optimize the combos with the new system anyways. And you'd be absolutely correct. Red-White will probably still be Aphelios' most used weapon combo, and you would still basically never see Purple-White. But now that you aren't punished heavily for using more situational weapon combos, I'm confident that this system will increase the possibilities and plausibility for big play plays. Let's continue with our Purple-White example. Can you tell that I really like this weapon combo? If I now choose these two weapons to place a few turrets to root people, I can then simply change one of these weapons to another weapon, for example, changing purple to red after 20 seconds to gain my OP weapons. Now, I'm not saying 20 seconds is a short time that can be easily neglected, but it is less than the time it would take to discard a weapon with the armor system. And with the armor system, you might need to wait even longer if you need to discard multiple weapons and you're going to waste a lot of mana because of the ability spam. And for people that really like playing with 3 or 4 weapons in one teamfight by having one or both of your weapons at 10 or less armor, you can still achieve this with the new system, but in a different, more lenient and versatile way. You have a 100-second window to withdraw one of your weapons, so during this time, you can use both of your current weapons and then withdraw one of them or even both, and get a new weapon using your E ability. With this system, you can also dynamically choose which weapon you will get next on the spot, instead of it being fixed. With the timer system, I think Aphelios' skin floor will decrease while his skin ceiling will increase. His skin ceiling will increase since, like I said, many opportunities for big plane players will open up with this system, since Aphelios players aren't forced to stick to the same weapon rotation and weapon combos in every game. Instead, really good Aphelios players can dynamically swap to a different weapon combo that they might not use in every game depending on the situation, since there isn't a heavy punishment for doing so. For example, if I currently have blue-purple, but I see a huge enemy wave in front of me, I can swap my purple from white, then use blue Q to get a massive chakram stack. Whereas with the armor system, you basically never see good Aphelios players use blue-white, since this combo will really mess up their rotation. And I think Aphelios' skin floor will decrease, since it is possible to play an entire game as him while only using 2 weapon combos, by waiting the full 2 minutes each time to swap their weapons. So novice Aphelios players can just stick with whatever 2 combos they like and get good at them. Whereas with the armor system, they will need to play with at least 5 weapon combos. I also think this system is much easier to understand and explain than the armor system. The only real issue I see with this redesign is that it will increase Aphelios' mechanical difficulty by a substantial amount, since there is a whole new ability that you need to press. This might turn out to be mechanically intensive, especially in a team fight where you will need to change your weapons really fast. This goes against Rai's goal of making him less focused on mechanical plays and more on big plane plays, but I still do think that it is worth it since, like I said, the big plane plays are going to be easily accessible and encouraged with this system. Lastly, I'm going to list off some minor redesign ideas for fun. Firstly, I think Caliber marks should scale with attack speed. I find it really weird that it's an empowered basic attack, but you can attack slower than normal if you have a bunch of attack speed, making him, a marksman, have anti-synergy with attack speed. In addition, I think Caliber Ultimate should have a longer range than his other variants, either by increasing the Caliber Ultimate range or decreasing the others. It really bugs me that the Sniper Weapon's Ultimate has the same range as all his other ultimates. Finally, a lot of you probably don't know this, but Aphelios has a really weird level scaling property with Inferno's splash damage, where at the beginning the splash damage deals less than the actual basic attack, but at max level it will deal the same amount. The scaling is a simple 82.5% at level 1 and 110% at level 9. No increase in damage percentage between these 2 levels. I think this is really bizarre and there should be a gradual increase from level 1 to 9, instead of an instant one. Inferno Ultimate's splash damage also has this weird level scaling, but it makes a bit more sense here since you only get the ultimate at level 6. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this redesign and if you have any changes, additions or improvements to this idea. Take care.